This video is titled Arman Tsuarkyan Isn't Beating Ilia Topuria. And let me just say something. See, Lucas, he's living the dream. He's finna scheme and say shit that he don't really mean. He has a cookbook, you know, finest cuisine. Went to his mom's house for peaches, left there with cream. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Peaches and creams, dude, you know. I'll be real, guys. I haven't even watched this video, and I was getting some messages and some Discord DMs of someone saying, you know, Lucas has some interesting takes. Like, you should, like, react to it, or you should respond to it. Like, I don't know if I'm ever going to debate Lucas again. This is the debate I want back because, like, Lucas debated, like, that was the first debate I ever had. It was LucasTracy, you know, and, like, it was an out-of-signing debate. I always think I cooked him, but everyone's like, oh, Lucas got you. I would love to run it back with Lucas, you know, a little bit more established, grown, look a little bit maybe handsomer. I don't know. So if this fight gets booked, I formally ask Lucas to do a debate, you know, whether he wants to do it or not, who cares? But I might have to debunk him already. I'm going to debunk him in this video, but like I said, I haven't watched this, so this is my pure reaction. So maybe Lucas is going to say takes that I agree with, and if that's the case, it's a little bit difficult to combat what he's saying, because like if I agree with him, then I suppose we're in agreement. But I don't believe Ilia Topuria beats Arman Tsuarkyan. I think it's about a 60-40, 70-30 fight. But let's see the points Lucas brings. It's a 30-minute video. I don't know if I'm going to cut in this video or just play it raw. I think some people are going to want it raw. Pause. Hey, I'll give it raw, you know. Some people might want it raw, and then some people might want a little bit cut up. But let's just play it, and let me just gauge his vibe, you know. I know it's like my first time reacting to a LucasTracy video, I think, on my channel. But let's see the vibes Lucas is on right now and how confident he is with this take.
If I were to ask you who the best lightweight in the world is right now, who'd you say?
Arman. Yeah.
I think a lot of people would say Arman Tsuarkyan. If I were to put out a poll for hardcore UFC fans, I think more than 50% would say Arman Tsuarkyan.
He's wrong about that. Holy shit, he's wrong about that.
And the funny thing is, the majority of those people, they would claim it in such a way as to, like, make a big hot take statement, you know, as if you're in, like, a crowded room and you're in a bar and it's the classic someone slams their drink down to shut the room up and everyone looks over at them and gasps, and they have this moment where they're slowly looking up with the smoke, you know, coming out of the cigarette tray right next to them, and they're about to say Arman Tsuarkyan's the best in the world, and that's like some hot take. It's like 1 versus 99. Everyone disagrees with them, but you really feel hardcore. You really feel like you know your stuff. And you're willing to die on that hill. You're willing to face the mob by professing Arman to be the best in the world. But actually, I think that's the casual take.
That's, first of all, he's wrong. He is a funny little analogy he just did there, but he's wrong. Like, I think most people, no, I think he's right in a sense, but he's wrong about him thinking like majority of the people are saying Arman wins. I think it's actually the opposite. I think a majority of people are saying Ilia just chins him and Arman's a nobody. So, like, he might be right about people thinking it's a hot take, but it kind of is a hot take. I don't know the odds, but I bet you Ilia will be the favorite.
I think that's actually the majority take these days. I think it's the casual take.
I think it's the mob mentality take.
And I think Arman Tsuarkyan gets absolutely steamrolled by Ilia Topuria in a fight.
Oh, brother.
And I actually think that the logical pick is Ilia Topuria every single time. And I think the reason why, or one of the reasons why, everyone is now all of a sudden on the Arman Tsuarkyan train, even though, let me just make this clear, Arman Tsuarkyan is freakishly good at fighting. He is a absolute freak athlete, extremely skilled.
Yep.
If Ilia Topuria was not at lightweight, Arman Tsuarkyan would be my pick to be a champion, and that's an easy pick.
Obviously,
I think he beats everyone else in the lightweight division. I think he is one of the best lightweights ever based on pure skill. Probably the 3rd best lightweight ever based on pure skill, although that's still up for debate. There's Charles Oliveira, who he had an extremely close decision with.
Oh, man, he's one of those, eh? I love Charles more than the next guy. I think Charles is going to beat Max, but I watched this fight back. Arman won every single round, but like Charles like almost had moments. If almost gotcha moments win rounds, Charles won like a round or two. But it's not about almost had you. It's about who did the most work in the fight, and it wasn't even close in that aspect.
And again, I'm going to make my case for why it is the case that Ilia Topuria mops him up in a fight. Okay, but the point is, I have respect for Arman Tsuarkyan. I think he's one of the most entertaining grapplers in the entire sport. I think he's insanely good. But I think he's being overrated, and I think there's a significant grappling bias. And we see a similar thing at featherweight with people saying that Movsar Evloev is the best in the world because he's got...
You know, I actually don't think this anymore. I thought this at a point. I think Volk can beat Movsar. I can't lie. But this is different. Arman Tsuarkyan's a lot better and more comfortable on the feet than Movsar Evloev, in my opinion. Movsar's pretty decent at striking, but we'll see what Lucas says, because I have things to say about the Arman situation. But this take's not even... I get why he thinks this for this.
The Evie at the end of his last name, the brother style. You think of Makhachev, you think of Khamzat. You just sort of think of the vibe in your head, brother mentality, you know? What? And you just think, oh, well, he is in a similar position to Arman. And you know, it's so hard for these grapplers with that brother style to get their title shots. And when they do, they always step up to the occasion and prove they're the best. And that's what's going to happen. And it's like... Similarly to the lightweight division, I don't even think that Movsar Evloev is the second best or even the third best in that division.
Yeah, pretty bad take. It's okay, though.
And, you know, I think he's a cool guy. I think, again...
Bro, get to the point, eh?
But back on Arman Tsuarkyan...
Thank you, brother.
It's the generational run that he had recently. He's now a fan favorite because he's gone on every single podcast there is to go on, right? He's winning people over... I think he's a cool guy. I think, again, his style is great. I think he's really a formidable opponent. And I'm not saying that he can't beat someone like Ilia Topuria. What I'm saying is he's being overrated, and people have no business being as confident as they are in his chances to beat someone like Ilia Topuria. And again, it's this grappling bias. The grappler is always the more mature and always the more legit. It's like, yep, the more boring style is always the one that's better. It's like, no, that's actually not the case.
I don't know. I don't get what he's doing here. And I don't know why he's trying to eat. I don't even know why he brought up the word boring and Arman Tsuarkyan. That doesn't even align with each other. Con Arman or like this person, grappling is not boring unless you just hate MMA. Like, Arman's not a grappler who, like, holds you and just sticks to you and, like, let me hug you and try to secure position and then survive the round. Arman's the type of, like, let me try to punch a hole in your face and punch your head through the octagon floor. That's how Arman fights. Arman has never had a boring fight in his life. I don't know what he's talking about. The more boring style, the better. Shut up! Dude, shut up. He does not know what he's saying right now. Like, he's just talking. Oh, this is why debates, like, it's so much better, because you can really, like, stop someone in the middle of them saying stupidity and be like, what are you even saying right now? Like, what you're saying does not apply to this fighter.
Pace. There's this idea that they're like grapplers are better ultimately than strikers and they're more skilled. It's like a more skillful thing.
Nope.
Ilia Topuria can have the most skilled boxing we've ever seen in the lightweight division, but ultimately that's like simpleton stuff. That is simpleton category. Real genius occurs in the grappling. Bull fucking shit. It's not true. Let's just get to the point. Ilia Topuria's performances have been 10 times more impressive than Arman Tsuarkyan's performances.
No.
That's just
No. Nah. Nah. He's wrong. And I understand what he's going to say. He's going to look at it from a legacy point of view. However, you have to take into consideration the stylistic matchups he's going against. A striker versus striker, 90% of the time, Ilia Topuria is going to win. Why? Because in my opinion, Ilia Topuria is the best striker in the world. Is Volkanovski a great striker? Yes. He's a great striker with horrible defensive habits, like pulling back with his head up in the air and his chin exposed. So that's going to be very beneficial to a combo puncher like Ilia, who chains together his combos and doesn't just throw 2 to 3. He throws 3, 4, 5, 6 punch combos. And someone against Volk who keeps his head in the air. Even Diego Lopez had like a 1-2 combo and was able to catch Volk at the very end of it. Imagine someone with a 3, 4, 5. No version of Volk would have ever beaten this guy. Then you have Max Holloway, who has the UFC record of the most significant strikes absorbed. And he's going against someone that you don't want to absorb a lot of significant strikes from. But what Lucas is going to look at it from, and I want you guys to understand this who are watching, is Lucas is going to look at it from a legacy point of view. And like, Max Holloway, dude, he's so fucking cowabunga, dude. Max Holloway, dude, we have fucking Volk. They're the most cowabunga. No one beats him like that. You know, and he's not going to look at it from like a stylistic matchup point of view, which is why he believes this. And I don't think he's wrong for believing this. You should believe that resume-wise, Ilia has done more in a more impressive fashion. But I would argue that Arman goes in there against people like Charles and doesn't just try to strike and avoid Charles' best weapon weapon. He goes in there with someone like Charles and goes on the ground with him as well as strikes with him. He mixes it up. He shows that he has the diversity to be comfortable everywhere against some of these dangerous opponents. But he's not going to look at it some there. I know people are going to bring up Ilia and Charles. They really didn't have that much in the grappling, honestly, what people overestimate that. Yes, Ilia was moving through guards, but ultimately he got up because he didn't feel comfortable on the ground with Charles Oliveira. So he's wrong about that. Ilia's things are looking more impressive. They're more impressive wins for a legacy standpoint, but I honestly think Arman Tsuarkyan shows his well-roundedness better than someone like Ilia Topuria.
It's the truth. Okay? Again, when I say people have no business being as confident in Arman Tsuarkyan's ability to beat Topuria, and this is all about him versus Topuria, I'm basing it off of what we've actually seen.
Dude, I'm so confident. After what I seen he did to Charles, after what I saw what he did to Dan Hooker, I don't care. I'm confident as hell. Arman Tsuarkyan's a different level of grappling. I just saw Charles whoop Gamrot in the grappling. I seen Arman out-grapple Charles. Arman right now is the best version he's ever been. I'm very confident in his grappling, but I'm more confident in his striking and his kicks. The kicks, he's not going to address it in this video, I bet you, but the kicks are what's going to frustrate Ilia on the feet, but I want to see if he ever gets to that point.
You look at their last 3 fights, and first off, both of these guys are basically the same age. You know, it's not the case where one guy is slowing down with their ability to improve. They're both basically the same age, improving at the same rate. Arman Tsuarkyan beat Dan Hooker in his last fight, right? Took him to the second round.
Okay.
And I'm not one of these people that thinks like, oh, if you take someone to the second round, that's an embarrassment. But like, all right, he failed his first takedown against Dan Hooker. Right there.
Wait, what is he doing? Wait, is he gonna? Yeah, man, he failed the takedown against Dan Hooker, man. Bro, Dan Hooker, every single takedown attempt jumps on a choke to like force a guy to scramble. It's not a bad thing failing takedowns. You're not supposed to take down everything. Dude, Islam failed the takedown against Dustin Poirier. Islam failed the takedown against blah, blah, blah. Who cares about a failed takedown? Do you know how much takedowns Khabib failed against people? Khabib failed takedowns against Conor. Khabib failed. It's like, I don't know why people think failed takedowns equate to insufficient wrestling. I don't even know what the fuck that meant. Bryce Mitchell scored a takedown on Ilia Topuria. You're not going to talk about that. And Bryce Mitchell's offensive wrestling is very lackluster compared to Arman Tsuarkyan. What the hell you mean he failed a takedown? Man, get out of here.
It's this idea that he's just going to go in there and steamroll Ilia Topuria. He failed his first takedown against Dan Hooker. Says that. Dan Hooker stuffed it pretty effortlessly. And actually, the first time he ended up on the ground with Dan Hooker was when Dan Hooker literally welcomed the clinch and tried to take him down. And actually created a scramble to where he welcomed a takedown being presented for Arman by pulling a guillotine. Arman Tsuarkyan in the first round did not take down Dan Hooker without Dan Hooker making a colossal low IQ mistake.
This guy's a guy who said BSC was going to steamroll Dan Hooker. I could be mistaken, but he said that, I'm pretty sure. And the only reason Dan Hooker lost that fight was because Dan Hooker's fight IQ, which is a takedown attempt. And what he's saying here is not incorrect, but I don't see how it's a valid point. He's trying to say that he didn't take down Dan Hooker in the first round, which equates to him not being able to take down Ilia in the first round. His logic is just flawed here. He's saying truthful statements, but with flawed logic. Like, what's your logic behind this? He couldn't take down Dan Hooker without Dan Hooker making a mistake. He can only take down Dan Hooker in the second round. So, therefore, he's not going to be able to take down Ilia in the first round. Ilia's going to knock him on the first. Like, what's his point here? It's just invalid. It doesn't really have that much substance of what he's saying.
All right, and the first takedown that he shot got stuffed. So, right off the bat, we're not talking about some Khamzat Chimaev-esque type of fighter that goes out there and has a damn near 100% takedown accuracy in their first takedown in every single fight.
No one is like Khamzat in the UFC. Not Islam, not Marab, not who's another good offensive. Nobody is like, I don't know why he's trying to compare him to like the top 1%. On top of that, he trains with Khamzat, so he's probably the closest to Khamzat we're going to get as far as offensive wrestling goes. But I don't see his point here. I don't know why he's trying to equate that you have to be able to take down someone in your very first attempt like Khamzat Chimaev to be able to have crazy success against someone like Ilia Topuria, who was taken down and controlled by Bryce Mitchell for over a minute and a half.
That is the case with Khamzat. That's not the case with Arman. Not saying Arman's not phenomenal, but he's not doing Khamzat Chimaev-esque stuff at lightweight. Not even to a Dan Hooker.
Well, no, he's a little bit different than Khamzat because, no offense to Khamzat, but like I do think Arman Tsuarkyan's ground and pound significantly, like it's night and day. When Arman has a solidified position, he's not going to look out to ride control and like a crucifix. He's going to try to melt your face with elbows. So they are a little bit different for sure. So I do agree with you there, but I don't think they're different in a negative way. I think their difference actually benefit Arman Tsuarkyan in a grappling controlled situation. So your point does not hold much value, brother. Okay. I don't understand this, brother.
Doesn't finish Dan Hooker in the first round. I'm not saying that's an embarrassment. Again, I'm not saying that his performances are not impressive. I'm just saying they're nowhere near as impressive as Topuria. Benoit Saint Denis finished Dan Hooker in 2 rounds. Okay?
From
Arman
what?
Tsuarkyan did it in 2 rounds. Failed a couple takedowns here and there. Okay.
Bro, BSD did not take him down once. Did BSD even take this guy down? Like, oh my God, BSD scored off of Dan Hooker. The same thing he's not going to... Notice how he didn't apply to BSD. I know he loves BSD, so I know... Look at his fucking face. Get the fuck out of my face. Yo, I know he wasn't going to apply the same logic that, like, yeah, BSD... No, BSD just took him down and controlled him. No, BSD got a takedown shot on him while he was getting hurt to the body. BSD nearly died on the feet in there. Ay, Shibai. Like, he's funny. I like his double standards. They're interesting to me.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good performance. It was very clean. But, I watched the fight back, and I'm looking at comments, and people are like, wow. Like, no wonder Topuria doesn't want this smoke. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, wait a second. Didn't Topuria just stuff Charles Oliveira's takedowns effortlessly, reverse a takedown in midair, and actually win this grappling exchange, wind up on top of Oliveira, put him in a crucifix, get up to his feet, completely unscathed on the ground, and like chin him?
The reason this is making me laugh is because I like the way he like adds like details. Like, didn't he just do this in midair? He stuffed the takedown, reversed him. Guys, the mishap with Charles Oliveira, and I will say this at my recap video when I first watched the fight, I was actually applauding Ilia, like, oh my God, like he reversed the takedown. I looked at what Charles did offensively. Charles essentially, I don't want to say he pulled guard, but Charles was not in a position where he could secure an intelligent offensive like body lock takedown. So he kind of just grabbed a hold of Ilia. Ilia didn't do much there. It was all kind of Charles' fault. So if you actually look at what happened, the takedown entry, you're going to realize like, oh wait, Ilia didn't actually do much. It was kind of just a poor takedown attempt. Anyone with any kind of reactivity would have looked the same way against Charles Oliveira on that takedown attempt. That was a Charles Oliveira mistake more than it was Ilia Topuria is so great at defensive wrestling. Secondly, he did bring up him moving through guard's position well, which is what he did. But ultimately, when I believe Charles went for an underhook, he left. He didn't want to be on the ground with him. I think it was over under or something, but he did not want to be on the ground with Charles at the end of it. So he stood up. And yes, you're right. He did chin Charles after he stood up. Charles Oliveira's offensive striking is very different than Arman Tsuarkyan. Charles Oliveira comes in every single fight with the same game plan of trying to marauder max forward. He thought he could do it against Ilia Topuria. He got slept. Arman Tsuarkyan's not that, no offense to Charles, dumb in his offensive striking and offensive prowess, so he's not going to come with stupid forward pressure and nothing behind it. Like, I will say Charles was landing some elbows and stuff, but it just wasn't, the risk to reward factor wasn't very high, and Charles didn't respect that, which is why he got slept. That's not happening Arman Tsuarkyan. Keep dreaming, though.
In a minute and a half? So we're talking about, okay, you're taking Dan Hooker to round 2, failing a takedown. Ilia Topuria is stuffing 2 takedowns against Oliveira, taking Oliveira down. So there's 3...
Didn't happen. Did not take Oliveira down.
3 takedown attempts by Oliveira, 2 of them stuffed, 1 of them reversed. Ilia Topuria winds up in the better position, outgrapples Oliveira briefly, and then chins him in 2 minutes. Wow. Let's compare that to Arman Tsuarkyan's fight against Charles Oliveira. Damn near a stalemate.
You see what he's doing here? He's bringing up different stylistic fights. Arman Tsuarkyan does not fight like Ilia Topuria. If we could argue 2 different things here. If we're arguing style, yes, you could say Ilia Topuria's style is more entertaining if he goes against a Charles Oliveira than Arman Tsuarkyan's style, because Arman Tsuarkyan being a primary grappler and Charles Oliveira being a primary grappler who's okay with working off his back while getting his face punched in by Arman, that's going to create a more of a boring setting. This wasn't a boring fight anyway. I don't know why he's saying it was a stalemate like it was boring. This fight was actually pretty action-packed, and when they were on the feet, I remember Arman Tsuarkyan kicking him to the face and having great success in the striking. But he's trying to bring up a different stylistic matchup where Charles Oliveira didn't respect what was coming back against him, against a power puncher who's a counter puncher like Ilia Topuria, so he got chinned. I'm not denying Ilia Topuria stylistically matches up better for Charles Oliveira than Arman, but that doesn't change the fact that Arman Tsuarkyan, being a primary grappler, went in there, trusted his grappling, and wasn't scared to be on the ground with Charles, unlike someone named Ilia Topuria who stood up when he was in a position of control against Charles because he's not as confident as someone like Ilia Topuria or as Arman Tsuarkyan. So him trying to bring up stylistic matchups and try to compare them, it's not an effective argument because they're different styles. You trying to equate finishing to being better, wait till you see how this stylistic matchup matches up between Arman and Ilia Topuria. He's not wrong in things he's saying. He's just wrong with his logic. His logic isn't like it's flawed logic, but it's a factual statement saying that Ilia Topuria beat Charles in better fashion. But it doesn't mean that Ilia is better than Arman just because he beat Charles quicker. It's kind of MMA math what he's trying to do here, and it's just not very effective, especially in an argument that he's trying to possess.
I think he won. I think there was a clear winner, but like extremely close fight. Decision with Charles Oliveira.
Wasn't that
Ilia
close.
Topuria chins him in 2 fucking minutes.
MMA math, eh?
Charles Oliveira's presence on the feet was that much of a joke in front of the skill and boxing of Ilia Topuria.
Yeah.
It meant nothing.
Yeah.
The grappling, 0 success. This is one of the most underrated wrestlers in the lightweight division, Oliveira.
He got up from Charles when he had a controlling position because Charles was forcing scrambles that he didn't feel comfortable with. I don't know why. Like, Charles was attacking leg locks and stuff, so he got up because he didn't feel comfortable. So I don't know why. That's not a fault on Charles that he didn't feel comfortable.
And of course, you're still going to hear some people saying, Oliveira underrated wrestling, brother. What about Makhachev? It's like, yeah, maybe compared to Makhachev and Arman, he's a worse wrestler. He's a great wrestler. Ragdolled Michael Chandler.
Yeah, he is. Charles
Oliveira's
is a great wrestler.
wrestling is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Look at what he did to Mateusz Gamrot.
Yeah.
Fucking ragdolled him.
Of course.
Ilia stuffed those takedowns effortlessly. If Dan
It was one horrible body lock attempt. He's got to
Hooker is
give this
stuffing
up.
your takedowns, okay? I think Ilia Topuria is capable of stuffing a couple, and the difference is, if you get one of your takedowns stuffed against Ilia Topuria, by the way, it's going to be harder to take him down just because of his build. He's stockier than Dan Hooker.
Yeah, Bryce Mitchell.
Dan Hooker stuffing a couple of your takedowns. Ilia Topuria is like showing brick wall takedown defense at lightweight, showing that if you fail a takedown, like actually you're on death's door just because of that.
But that's not true. You're on death's door if you fail a takedown and your name is Charles Oliveira and you're going to come walking into him like an idiot. Yes, you're on death's door if that's your fight style. That's not how Charles strikes. That's not how Arman strikes. Oh, man, he's milking this Charles fight because Charles fought with a stupid game plan. But that's Charles. He's going to fight like Charles every time.
You're about to get chinned. 30 seconds with Topuria on the feet at lightweight. You're fucking cooked. One guy is sending people to the Bikini Bottom where they're meeting Mr. Krabs, SpongeBob, and Patrick. All right. And the other guy again is taking people to a decision. So let me just understand this. Arman's having a 15-minute razor close fight with Charles Oliveira and a winning round against Dan Hooker in the first round where he definitely wins the round. It's not a 10-8. And then obviously finds the finish. He's able to find the finish in the second round.
Yeah, find it. Yeah.
And like, you're going to tell me that's more impressive than shucking Oliveira off and like flatlining him in literally 2.5 minutes.
No, it's not more impressive. It's just different stylistic fights. Like it's not even the same. It's not the same matchup. It's a different matchup. I just don't understand these comparisons. Like, are we gonna bring up him versus Jai Herbert against a long rangey kickboxer like Dan Hooker? But no, we're not gonna bring that up because it's not gonna fit his agenda. But I could easily say like, oh, Jai Herbert is a skinny, rangy striker just like Dan Hooker was, because he just called Dan Hooker skinny and easy. You're gonna take down with his build or something. No offense, Ilia nearly got killed that fight. He nearly died. So yeah, I could easily go on Ilia's resume and bring up fights, especially with people who are built stylistically very similar to Dan Hooker. But if I bring up those fights, they make him in his argument look worse because unlike Arman Tsuarkyan, like Ilia got dropped and nearly died that right. He nearly died in there that time. So Arman can't relate to that. So I don't really understand here.
Nobody has ever done that to Charles Oliveira. Just shucked him off. Grappling exchange, reverse midair, crucifix position.
Come on, man.
Goodbye. But you don't understand. I guess I don't understand because Arman is just grappling, blah, blah, blah. Right? It's the grappling, right? Just another level. But when Topuria went out there, it was just clobbering Simpletonville.
No one's saying
Not
that.
impressive.
Why is he gaslighting?
I disagree. I think Ilia Topuria would flatline Dan Hooker in 2 minutes. I think it would be a 2-minute fight.
Okay.
Right? I believe that Arman and Oliveira were super competitive, very competitive, and it just simply wasn't the case. And again, you cannot tell me that, well, that's because Oliveira was a striker. Like, I swear that's what people People are like,
no,
yeah.
it's not about Charles being a striker. Charles is a grappler, but it's when Charles, dude, this is the thing about Charles. I think that his fight style is pretty evident every single fight. He doesn't really come in always and like shoot a take unless he's feeling really confident. I rarely see him. What I see Charles do is like I see him create chaos in his striking to open up his grappling. You've seen it in Gage, you've seen it in Dustin, you've seen it in a lot of his fights. He's not like a Hamza who kind of just shoots out the blue. He kind of comes out on the high guard. He'll throw a hook, and then try to get a hold of you. That's how he fights. He fights very chaotic in the striking to open up his grappling, which I feel like doing it against an Ilia Topuria stylistically is not the smartest game plan. I do respect his attempt of MMA mathing here and being like Ilia would beat the guys Arman beat, like Ilia would beat Dan Hooker in 1 minute. Yeah, Dan Hooker's a primary striker who's going to stand in front of him probably and just got knocked out eventually. Maybe it'll be longer than 2 minutes because Dan Hooker would circle and run a bit. But eventually you'll get him. Might be even the second round you'll get him, but he'll get him. He's having a hard time like distinguishing how MMA math does not really equate to comparing Arman Tsuarkyan and Ilia. You actually have to look at Arman Tsuarkyan for how he fights in his fight style and how Ilia fights in his fight style. But he's not comparing them. He's trying to compare resumes because that's an easier argument, an easier pathway to go down when talking about fighters like this.
But Oliveira went out there and struck with him. Like, no, the fuck he didn't.
He did as well.
He did not. He
went out and
shot
striked.
takedowns. All right? He was shooting.
Like I said, strikes to open up his wrestling. That's what he always does.
Shooting and shooting. All right? Oh, Oliveira's a striker. He was striking. That's a fucking myth. Charles Oliveira shot 3 takedowns in the span of, 2.5 minutes? So that would be 6 takedowns if he continued that pace in 1 round. That would be 30 takedowns if he continued that pace for the entire fight. Charles Oliveira was having a 30 takedown per fight pace.
What is he? Wait. He's actually funny trying to act like he can predict. Yeah, well, in my head, he would have kept shooting that consistently. And these aren't even the takedowns he's talking about aren't even double leg takedowns. Keep in mind, it's just Charles running forward with hooks and then trying to get a hold of him in the clinch. This is his takedown attempts.
You're telling me that,
it's
different when you're in front of a real grappler like Arman who's going to actually shoot, as if we didn't see someone actually shoot on Topuria. So again,
he didn't.
Please help me wrap my head around this idea that Arman is actually the guy that we're supposed to think is going to win this fight when he's having competitive fights and Topuria isn't. The point that I'm making here is, before that, Ilia Topuria chinned Volkanovski, one of the most elusive strikers, scratch that, maybe the most elusive, light on his feet, slick, flowing like a butterfly fighters we've ever seen.
Yeah, he's gonna coincidentally leave out the part of Volk leaving his chin up and every single time he's exit. So that elusivity he's talking about is so great against Ilia Topuria because leaving with your chin in the air against someone who chains together 4 to 6 punch combos are probably going to be to your benefit, eh? Ignore that, though. You're not going to talk about that because it's not going to fit your agenda. I understand and I respect it.
Seen in the light, you know what I mean? Like flowing like a butterfly, stinging like a bee fighters we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Oh, it took him to the second round, bro. Took him to the second round. So wait. So like slumping out Charles Oliveira in 2 minutes, knocking out Max Holloway, and catching the most elusive striker we've ever seen and knocking him out too. Somehow you're like more impressed by Arman Tsuarkyan like having Benoit Saint Denis level of performances.
Why the hell does he keep bringing up his gay love for BSD, nigga? I don't care if you kissed that nigga on Tuesday nights. I don't care about none of that. Stop bringing up BSD. It has nothing to do with him, man. They don't even fight anywhere similar. I don't know what he's talking about. BSD level wins. Get the hell out of here with that. And here's my thing about him. He's trying to compare resumes. You can't compare. Ilia has a better resume than Arman. I don't think there's anyone in the world picking Arman Tsuarkyan off of his resume. And if you're behind your screen like, I am Kenny. I have no hairline and I'm fat. I'm sorry, but like if you are saying that because of resume, you're gonna like you might be right, but your logic is flawed. I'm picking Arman Tsuarkyan off the stylistic matchups. This whole video, he hasn't yet looked at stylistically how they matched up. Instead, he's looking at resume because in his opinion, that's the easiest way to defend it or argue this, which is why you are not going to see him bring up like what Arman will be able to do with him or what Ilia will be able to do with him, you know? Because it's not as easy to be like, oh, I just think Arman's gonna get knocked out because Arman Tsuarkyan sucks at striking. Because he knows Arman doesn't strike at striking. He knows Arman. I feel like he's not gonna mention Arman's kicks at all this video though. I don't know if he is. Probably not.
I don't get it. Like I'm exaggerating a little bit because Benoit Saint Denis is a sloppier fighter. I think Arman like destroys Benoit. I just don't understand why people are so confident. One guy, Topuria.
Let's talk then.
is showing us things that we've literally never seen before. Nobody has ever beaten Charles Oliveira that easily and made him look that silly.
Islam Makhachev.
Where is this?
Islam Makhachev beat him that silly, and Islam also beat Volk that silly in the rematch. So everyone you're bringing up that no one has ever, no one makes this guy look silly. Islam has done it better every time. Yeah, baby, yeah.
Hole in Ilia Topuria's grappling that we can see from his last performance. Where is it? Because Oliveira shot 3 times.
Okay, I'll tell you, bro, stop saying that. Stop saying Oliveira shot full-fledged takedowns. Oliveira shot irresponsible takedowns off his strikes because he was just panicking and he wanted to get a hold of him. Those aren't intelligent takedowns. Bryce Mitchell took him down easily. You know, the way he sugarcoated that question was you can't bring up Bryce Mitchell. He's like, when have you ever seen Ilia show holds in his grappling? But in his last fight. Don't bring up any other fights. I could bring up Arman Tsuarkyan in some of his past fights, you know, but you can't bring up Ilia Topuria's past fights.
Like Oliveira, who, you know, can knock you the fuck out and send you flying across the octagon. Arman just doesn't have the same kind of power, right? And, you know, you have to respect a guy like Oliveira because you can get cracked. I mean, we saw Oliveira hit Ilia Topuria with a really clean elbow. Did nothing to him. His chin at lightweight is just crazy. His chin at featherweight was crazy, but his chin at lightweight is even crazier now that he doesn't have to cut weight. So, like, for Arman, who doesn't have a lot of power to knock out a improved durability version of Topuria, forget about it. So essentially, I think that people have it twisted. I think that Ilia Topuria should be the favorite. His performances have been a lot more impressive.
Yeah, he should be the favorite.
The task is more difficult for Arman. It's more of an uphill battle for Arman. Again, this is not me saying it's like a 90% chance Topuria wins, but I think it's like a 70% chance or maybe like a 65% chance Topuria wins.
Yeah, going down
right? I think maybe 65, 70. That's what I think about this fight. So, yeah, I mean, if Topuria can't chin him and Arman does a really good job of staying out at range and maybe just not entertaining the striking at all, and he's going to shoot, back up, circle, shoot, back up. If he fails, circle. Eventually, maybe he will be able to get the takedowns.
Wait, so why? Wait, this is his problem because he expects him to fight like Charles and just run into him like that. So yeah, guys, I'll say this: LucasTracy is right. If Arman fights like Charles Oliveira and runs into him with reckless abandonment, hoping to land something and get a hold of him, he will get knocked out. Arman Tsuarkyan has never shown to be an irresponsible, overly aggressive striker in the first place, so I don't know why he's making that assumption now. So right now, the excuse he just made at the very end right now, saying that like, well, yeah, maybe if Arman circle, shoot, or circle stroke. He's not even talking about the kicks still. He's a little bit lost. He doesn't really understand this fight. But yes, what he said right at the end is a little bit more realistic. Like Arman's going to be circling. He's going to take his time, find the right shot, mix up his kicks, and he's going to fight like a smart guy. He's not going to fight like Charles Oliveira and just run into him with reckless abandonment. So I see why he's conflicted. He's just confused and a little bit lost because he believes that since Charles got knocked out, everyone in lightweight's going to fight like Charles. Everyone's going to run into him and try to just land something, and they're not going to respect Ilia's power. So everyone's going to get knocked out. And with that point of view, I can understand why he sounds like the way he sounds. But you could tell when it comes down to like talking about stylistically how the fight goes, he does really bad in his arguments. Like, and you could tell he doesn't really believe what he's saying. But when it comes to the resume part about it, he's very confident in himself because it's very easy to defend Ilia having a better resume because let's be real, he does have the better resume. But what Lucas failed to do the entire 30 minutes of talking was successfully tell you guys how he actually can beat Arman. You know, he's just saying that, listen, he knocked out Charles and he stuffed Charles' takedowns, which means that if Arman's running at him full speed and he can't take him down and he keeps just running at him trying to strike, Ilia's going to knock him out eventually too. We know this. That's not how Arman fights. So at least you know at the end of the day that you're wrong about everything you're saying. Yeah, I'm saying it, brother. Like, I'm debating you, brother. You know, if this fight ever gets booked, me and you can't run, you know, because time comes, brother. Time is ticking. Careful.
And if he can survive on the feet, he will win. But that's what it is. He has to survive on the feet, right? That's a task.
He confirmed that he's going Ilia by puncher's chance, by the way. So if you guys were ever lost about who to pick, never pick the guy who has a puncher's chance.
So
it's risky.
You know, let me know what you guys think. Again, a guy like Evloev, like...
Yeah, we don't care about Evloev. Evloev's point, he might be right. All right, guys. Listen, man. Listen, I said what I said. Listen, I'm open. Like, I wish I could debate him. You know, if he's probably going to watch this video. He's probably not going to want to debate after this because he's going to know it's going to be too hard. You know, He's good at debating resume, brother. This is not the resume. Fighters don't fight each other's resume. They fight each other stylistically, which is why in this video he wasn't able to have a coherent argument that talked about how stylistically they would match up and how that would benefit Ilia Topuria. Instead, he's talking about resumes and bringing up the Charles Oliveira fight a lot. He pretty much talked about Charles 30 minutes, saying that Charles with his fight style got knocked out, which means Arman's gonna get knocked out the same way. Horrible argument, but that's what you expect from LucasTracy. Let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know what you guys think about us debating. Let me know who you think will win the debate. Brother, I never lose a debate. This is me. That's it for me. Have a good day. God bless. 2, 3, 4.